I remember that morning like it was stitched into my chest. Claire stood by the mirror, curling her hair, humming something light and careless. Going somewhere? I asked, slipping my tie around my neck. She smiled at me through the reflection. Mia and I are going shopping downtown. You'll survive a few hours without me, won't you? I grinned, barely. Try not to buy another pair of shoes you'll never wear. She laughed, brushing a strand of blonde hair from her face. No promises, it felt ordinary. Too ordinary. I kissed her cheek and she smelled like the perfume I'd given her for our anniversary. I watched her leave, heels clicking, voice echoing a quick, "Love you," and that should have been it. But something about her tone. It didn't land right. The day passed slowly. Work emails, endless sketches, coffee after coffee. Still, my mind drifted to her more than usual. Around 6, I texted, "You done shopping yet?" She replied, "Almost. Long day." Don't wait up, don't wait up. She'd never said that before. When she got home near midnight, I was half asleep on the couch. "Hey," I muttered, blinking at the light. "You okay? You were gone all day." She dropped her bags, smiling faintly. "Yeah, traffic was awful. We went to that new mall near the pier." "The pier?" I frowned. "That's far." "Yeah, but Mia wanted to see this boutique there. You know how she is." She leaned down, kissed my forehead, and whispered, "You worry too much, Ethan." I nodded, pretending to relax. "What did you buy?" She pulled out a tie box and handed it to me. "For you?" "Thought you'd like it. It was nice. Simple. Blue with silver stripes. You didn't have to." I wanted to. Something in her eyes looked tired. Or guilty. I couldn't tell. She showered and went to bed early. I stayed on the couch, watching the clock tick past 1. The air felt heavy. Maybe I was paranoid. Maybe I just missed how things used to be. Around 2, I couldn't sleep. Out of habit, I opened my phone to check our bank notifications. That's when I saw it. The Azure Bay Resort. 1 transaction. $482.39. My breath hitched. Azure Bay was no mall. It was a luxury resort by the coast. I stared at the screen, blinking, hoping I was wrong. I opened the transaction history again. Same thing. Same time she said she was shopping. "No," I whispered. That can't be right. I walked quietly to the bedroom. Claire was asleep, facing the wall. The tie box still sat on the nightstand, the ribbon undone. My heart pounded. I whispered, "Azure Bay Resort." The words tasted like salt. The next morning, I tried to act normal. "Sleep well?" I asked as she poured coffee. Yeah. "Why?" "Just wondering." I forced a smile. "You and Mia had fun?" "Yeah, it was great." "You should have seen the crowd." "My feet are still killing me." "Where'd you eat?" "Food court." She sipped her coffee quickly. "Why all the questions?" "Just making conversation," I said, though my throat burned with lies. Later, while she showered, I picked up her purse. My hands trembled as I searched. Nothing suspicious until I saw a folded receipt wedged between lipsticks. Azure Bay Resort. Date yesterday. Room service, 2 guests. My chest turned hollow. When she came out, towel around her hair, she looked at me. "Why are you holding my purse?" I froze. "Looking for gum," she laughed lightly. "You could have just asked." She took it from me, her eyes narrowing for a second too long. "I should get going," I muttered, grabbing my keys. "Site meeting," she smiled. "Good luck, architect." I walked out, but the air outside felt colder than usual. I drove aimlessly, the receipt burning in my pocket. I dialed Mia. She didn't answer. I called again. This time she picked up. "Ethan?" "Hey, what's up?" "Hey, Mia, sorry, Claire forgot her phone. I was gonna tell her something." "You guys had fun yesterday?" Yeah," she said quickly. "It was nice. At the mall near the pier, right?" "Yeah, that one." I paused. "So you didn't, go anywhere else, like, maybe the coast?" Silence. Then a nervous laugh. "What? No. Why would we? Oh, hey, I gotta go. My boss is calling." "Mia, wait." She hung up. The line went dead, but the truth screamed loud in my head. I pulled over by the river and just sat there, gripping the wheel until my knuckles turned white. Maybe I should have confronted Claire right then. But part of me was scared, not of losing her, but of confirming I already had. That night, when she slipped into bed beside me, she whispered, "Good night, Ethan." I stared at the ceiling, heart breaking quietly. "Good night," I whispered back. And in the silence that followed, I knew the woman sleeping next to me wasn't mine anymore. I woke up before Claire. Her arm rested over me like nothing had changed. For a moment, I wanted to believe it. When she stirred, I forced a calm tone. "Sleep okay?" She smiled, stretching. "Like a baby, why?" "Just asking." I nodded toward the tie hanging on the chair. "You really think it suits me?" Her lips curved slightly. "You'll look perfect in it." "Wear it to work today." "Sure," I said, adjusting my collar. My chest tightened as I tried to smile back. "You're good at picking what looks right." She brushed past me, humming again. Same melody as yesterday. I felt my stomach twist. At breakfast, she leaned on the counter, scrolling through her phone. "You're quiet this morning." "Just tired," I said, stirring my coffee. "Did Mia get home safe last night?" "Yeah, of course." "Why?" "No reason." "You two hang out a lot," she chuckled. "You say that like it's a bad thing." I didn't mean it that way. Her eyes lifted from the screen. "Then what way did you mean it, Ethan?" I exhaled slowly. "Forget it. I'm just overthinking." "Good," she said softly, kissing my cheek before leaving. "Don't start turning into a jealous husband, okay?" When the door shut, I stood there listening to the silence she left behind. My heart felt heavier than the tie around my neck. By evening, her words still echoed in my head. I told myself not to check her car, but I did it anyway. My hand shook as I opened the glove box. Receipts, old parking tickets, a lipstick, then one slip of paper that froze me cold. Azure Bay Resort. Date, the same weekend. Amount, the same number I'd seen on the credit card. I sat in the driver's seat staring at it until my eyes blurred. When I walked back inside, Claire was on the phone. She ended the call quickly, smiling too fast. "You're home early." "Yeah," I said, setting my bag down. "Who were you talking to?" "Mia," she said quickly. "She's planning something for her birthday." I looked at her phone lying face down on the counter. "You two are really close." "She's my best friend," she replied, crossing her arms. "You sound like you don't like her." I didn't say that. "You didn't have to." Her tone was sharp, but her eyes were nervous. "I could see it." "Claire," I said softly. "Are we okay?" She hesitated, then nodded. "Of course we are. Why wouldn't we be?" I forced a smile. "Just checking." That night, I lay awake listening to her breathing beside me. Every rise and fall sounded like a lie. Around midnight, I slipped out of bed and called the only person I trusted. Mark answered on the third ring. "It's late, Ethan. You good?" "I don't know," I whispered. "I think Claire's hiding something." "What happened?" "There was a charge on our card." "Azure Bay Resort." Silence. Then, "That's not a shopping mall, man. I know." "She said she was with Mia, but I found a receipt in her car." Mark sighed. "You sure you want to know the truth?" "No," I said quietly. "But I can't unsee what's already in my head." He hesitated. "Then find proof. Real proof. Don't accuse her without it. You'll just give her room to lie." "I already have proof, Mark." "Then you need to decide what to do with it." I rubbed my forehead. "I can't even talk to her. Every time I look at her, I hear my own voice making excuses for her." "That's love, Ethan. It blinds smart people faster than it saves stupid ones." I laughed bitterly. "You're poetic at midnight. I'm serious. Don't let her gaslight you. Keep calm, play along, and see where it leads." I nodded, though he couldn't see me. "Yeah, maybe I'll talk to Mia again tomorrow," he grunted. "Good idea." She's the weak link. People like her fold when the guilt builds. After hanging up, I sat by the window. The city lights blinked like warnings. The next morning, when Claire left for yoga, I scrolled through my phone, thumb hovering over Mia's number. My heart pounded. I hit call. She answered on the third ring. "Ethan, hey, what's up?" "Morning, Mia." Claire forgot her phone. "I was gonna tell her something." "You two heading out again today?" No, not today," she said, voice trembling slightly. "She didn't tell you?" "Tell me what?" "Nothing, maybe she forgot." "I gotta run, okay?" "Mia, wait. You said you went shopping last week, right? Which mall did you guys go to?" The one near the pier," she said. "Why?" "There's no boutique near the pier, Mia. I checked." Her breathing hitched. "Ethan, I shouldn't—" "Was she with someone?" I asked quietly. Silence. "Mia," I pressed, "just tell me the truth." Her voice cracked. "Ethan, please don't drag me into this." Click, the line went dead. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, heart pounding so loud it drowned out the world. And right then, I knew whatever truth I was chasing was uglier than I was ready for. Mark leaned against my car, arms crossed. "You're sure you want to do this?" I nodded, gripping the steering wheel. "I need to know, Mark. I can't live on guesses," he sighed. "Then don't lose control when you see what you're not ready for. Just tell me where this place is again. Azure Bay Resort. Coastal Highway 3 hours south. Follow the signs near the cliffs. You'll see it." The drive felt endless, every mile filled with what-ifs that tore at me. What if she really was there? What if it wasn't what it looked like? By the time the ocean came into view, my palms were sweating. The waves glimmered under the sun like nothing bad could ever happen here. I parked near the lot, my heart beating like a hammer in my throat. Mark's voice echoed in my head. "Stay calm." I walked along the boardwalk, pretending to be another tourist. Then I saw her, Claire. She was laughing, really laughing, like I hadn't heard in months. And beside her was a man, taller, darker hair, expensive sunglasses. His hand brushed hers casually, like it belonged there. I whispered, "No." My knees weakened. I stepped back behind a palm tree, the sand crunching softly under my shoes. I couldn't breathe. They stopped near the water, and she turned toward him. "Ryan, stop! You're going to make me blush!" Ryan. The name hit me like a bullet. He grinned, voice low. Then maybe I should stop talking and do something else. He leaned in, kissed her lightly, and she didn't pull away. My vision blurred. My throat burned. I wanted to run up to them, to shout, to ask why. Instead, I took out my phone with shaking hands and snapped a photo. The sound of the shutter was small but felt deafening. I ducked behind the palm tree again, gasping quietly. My hands trembled so badly I almost dropped the phone. Claire turned suddenly, eyes scanning around her. For a second I thought she'd seen me, but Ryan grabbed her hand and said, "Come on, they're setting up the drinks." They walked toward the bar, hand in hand, laughing like they belonged to a world I was never part of. I leaned against the tree, whispering, "That's my wife." The words cracked as they left my mouth. An older couple nearby glanced at me, confused, but I turned away, pretending to check my phone. I stared at the photo again, her head tilted against his shoulder, her smile wide, her wedding ring still on her hand. I called Mark. He picked up instantly. "Ethan?" "I saw her," I said, voice breaking. "She's here. With him." Mark was silent for a beat. "You sure?" "She kissed him, Mark." He cursed softly. "You want me to come there?" "No, I don't even know what I'd do if I saw her face again." "Listen to me. You already saw what you needed to. Don't confront them now. You'll regret it if you lose control." "I already lost everything," I whispered. He didn't answer, just breathed heavily on the other end. After a long pause, he said, "Drive home, Ethan. Don't give her the satisfaction of a scene." I stared out at the beach again. Claire leaned into Ryan, her head resting on his chest. The wind caught her hair, and he tucked it behind her ear. "The same gesture I used to do," I whispered into the phone. "She used to do that with me." "Ethan," Mark said quietly, "come home." I nodded even though he couldn't see it. "Yeah," I turned away, forcing myself to walk back to the car. Every step felt like wading through cement. Before leaving, I looked back one last time. They were still there, laughing, careless, untouchable. My eyes stung, but I didn't cry. Not yet. I started the engine and drove. The farther I got, the harder it was to breathe. Halfway back, I pulled over near a gas station and just sat there. The phone buzzed in my pocket, Claire's name flashing on the screen. I stared at it for a long time, then answered. "Hey," she said, voice light. "Are you home?" I forced a steady tone. "Yeah, you?" "Still with Mia," she lied. "Traffic's crazy. Probably won't be home till late." I clenched my jaw. "Be safe," she laughed softly. "You sound worried." "I guess I am." "You don't need to be," she said, her voice sugar-sweet. "Love you." The words felt like knives. "Love you too," I whispered, then hung up. The silence that followed was heavier than anything I'd ever felt. I looked at the photo again, the truth frozen forever in pixels, and something inside me cracked. By the time I reached home, night had fallen. The tie she'd bought me still hung over the chair, untouched. I sat on the edge of the bed, phone in hand, staring at her picture. My reflection in the screen looked hollow. I whispered, "You were at a beach resort, Claire." "Not shopping." My voice broke, but I kept talking to the empty room. "You lied to me. You looked happy with him. Happier than you ever looked with me." The photo blurred as tears finally spilled, and that night I realized the truth wasn't what hurt the most. It was knowing she'd moved on long before I ever suspected a thing. The door creaked open just as dawn brushed through the blinds. I sat at the kitchen table, a cold cup of coffee untouched in front of me. "Ethan," her voice called softly. "You're up early." I didn't answer. I just stared at her. She smiled faintly, setting her purse on the counter. "Didn't think you'd be awake. I was going to surprise you with breakfast." "How was shopping?" I asked, voice flat. Her hand froze midair. "Shopping?" "Yeah," I said slowly. "You know, the shopping trip with Mia." She blinked, forcing a laugh. "Oh, right, that. It was good. We found a few things." I stood up. "At a Heartbreak resort?" Her smile faltered. "What?" I pulled the folded receipt from my pocket and slid it across the counter. "You left this in your car." She looked at it and her face drained of color. "That's not what?" I snapped. "Not from the same resort my card was charged at?" Her lips parted, searching for words. "Ethan, please, I can explain." "Then explain." She swallowed hard. "It wasn't what it looked like." I laughed bitterly. "I haven't even shown you what it looked like yet." I unlocked my phone and turned the screen toward her, the photo of her with Ryan on the beach. Her eyes widened. She gasped, covering her mouth. "Oh my God." "Say something," I whispered. "It was a mistake," she stammered. "I didn't mean for it to happen." "You didn't mean to hold his hand? To kiss him? To smile like you were finally alive again?" Tears welled in her eyes. "Ethan, please stop. I was confused." "Confused?" I repeated, stepping closer. "You drove 3 hours to the coast to figure out your confusion." She shook her head, voice trembling. "You don't understand. Things have been distant between us because you made them distant." I slammed my hand on the counter, making her flinch. "You kept pulling away and I kept blaming myself. All this time you were just..." I couldn't finish. She covered her face, sobbing. "I didn't want to hurt you." "Then what the hell do you call this?" I pointed at the photo still glowing on my screen. Silence filled the room except for her quiet sobs. Finally, I said, "Pack your things." Her hands dropped, eyes wide. "What?" "You heard me. Ethan, please, don't do this." "I love you, love," I said quietly. "You loved him yesterday." She shook her head desperately. "It wasn't love. It was confusion, like I said. I just needed space." I cut in coldly. She froze. Yes, maybe?" "Space," I repeated, my voice breaking. "You needed space to betray me?" She stepped toward me. "No, I needed space to remember what I felt for you. I made a mistake, but I can fix this." I stepped back. "No, Claire, you can't fix something you burned to the ground." She reached for my arm, but I pulled away. "Please, Ethan, don't throw us away." "You already did," I said. She bit her lip, trembling. "I'll stay at Mia's for a few days." "We both need time." "No," I whispered. "I need honesty. You just need somewhere to hide." Her tears kept falling. "I'm sorry. I never wanted this." "Then why did you choose it?" She didn't answer, just stood there, silent and broken. After a long moment, she whispered, "You'll never forgive me, will you?" I looked at her for what felt like the last time. "No," I said softly, "because you killed something that never gets to live twice." She turned away, wiping her cheeks. "I'll pack." Her footsteps disappeared down the hallway, leaving a hollow quiet behind her. The sound of a suitcase zipper followed, sharp, final, cruel. When she came back, her eyes were swollen. "Can I call you later?" I shook my head. "There's nothing left to say." She hesitated at the door, whispering, "Goodbye, Ethan." The door clicked shut. For a while, I didn't move. I just stared at the empty space she'd left behind, the faint smell of her perfume still hanging in the air like a ghost. Hours passed before I even realized the sun had gone down. I sat in the living room, the lights off, the house too quiet to breathe in. Mark called. I ignored it. I opened my contacts and scrolled to her name. Claire? The heart beside it mocked me. My thumb hovered over delete. I hesitated, then pressed it. Her name vanished, but her voice didn't. It still echoed in my head. Every laugh, every lie, every "I love you." I leaned back, whispering to the dark, "You wanted space, Claire. Now you've got it," the silence answered back, colder than I'd ever known. I thought deleting her number would help, but it didn't. The ache stayed, steady and sharp, like she'd carved herself into my chest and left me bleeding quietly. I stared at my phone again. Blank, empty, quiet, and realized something that hurt more than betrayal itself. My marriage hadn't ended tonight. It had been dying slowly, quietly, and I hadn't even noticed until the last breath escaped. It had been 3 weeks since she left, but her scent still lingered in every room. That same lavender perfume followed me like a ghost. I tried washing the sheets, changing the curtains. Nothing helped. Most mornings I left for work early and stayed late just to avoid coming home. Blueprints and deadlines became safer than memories. One afternoon, while I was reviewing floor plans, I heard footsteps behind me. "Ethan Miller," a voice drawled. "Didn't expect to find you hiding behind a desk." I froze. That voice. I turned, and there he was, Ryan Cole, smirking like he owned the world. "What the hell are you doing here?" I asked. He shrugged. "Business meeting. Your firm and mine share the same client. Small world, huh?" "Get out," I said quietly. He chuckled. "Relax, I just came to say you should have kept her happy." My fists clenched. "Say that again." He tilted his head, amused. "Claire, she wanted more, attention, passion, something you forgot to give her." I just stepped in. I stood up so fast my chair fell back. "You don't get to talk about her." He laughed, low and cruel. "Why not? She told me plenty about you." "Ryan," I warned, voice shaking, "leave before I forget I'm in an office." He leaned closer. "You think you're the victim here? Maybe you were just boring?" My knuckles itched to connect with his jaw. Instead, I grabbed the edge of the table and said, "You're not worth it." He grinned wider. "That's what she said too. That was it." My hand shot out, shoving him back hard enough to make him stumble. "Get the hell out before I make you regret breathing." His eyes darkened. "You've got anger issues, Miller." "Yeah," I said. "And you've got a death wish." He straightened his suit, still smirking. "Enjoy your lonely life. She's better off." I didn't move until he left. My heart pounded so loud I could barely hear. Mark walked in just then. "What happened?" I laughed bitterly. "Ryan happened." Mark's eyes narrowed. "That idiot came here?" "Yeah, said I should have kept her happy." He swore under his breath. "You should have broken his nose." "I almost did." Mark sighed and sat down across from me. "Listen, man. You can't keep living in this loop. You're angry, broken, and stuck." "Yeah, thanks for the pep talk," I muttered. He leaned forward. "I mean it. Don't let her or that jerk define your story. Use it, let it fuel you." "Fuel me?" I scoffed. "Yeah," he said. "Turn the ashes into something worth building." I stared at the plans on my desk, the half-finished sketches, the unsteady lines. "Maybe you're right. Of course I am. You're a damn good architect. You just forgot who you are." That night I couldn't sleep. His words stuck with me. Somewhere between anger and grief, I realized I didn't want to be the broken one anymore. 2 days later, I applied for a position at a new architectural firm in the city, Reynolds & Co. They offered me an interview within a week. When I walked into the office, something felt different. The air was lighter, cleaner, like a place where new beginnings actually existed. A woman at the front desk smiled. "You must be Ethan Miller." "Yeah," I said. "Interview at 10, she nodded. "Ava Carter will meet you in the conference room." I followed her directions, still nervous. When the door opened, a woman with soft eyes and a calm voice greeted me. "Ethan, I'm Ava. I'll be coordinating with you if you join us." "Nice to meet you," I said, shaking her hand. Her smile was warm, not forced. "Mark told us about your work. He said you've got an eye for details." I laughed quietly. "He says that when he's trying to get me hired." "Well, it worked," she said, and her laugh, genuine and light, echoed through the room. Something about it disarmed me. For the first time in weeks, I felt normal. After the meeting, she said, "You seem like someone who's been through a storm." I looked at her. You could say that, she nodded gently. Then maybe it's time to rebuild. Those words hit me harder than she knew. That night, I stood by my apartment window, watching the city lights flicker below. My life had fallen apart, but maybe Mark was right. Maybe I could use the wreckage to start again. I still missed her. I still woke up some nights reaching for someone who wasn't there, but the pain didn't control me anymore. Maybe I was finally learning that broken things could still create something beautiful. It had been 6 months since I'd seen Claire. Time didn't erase her, but it dulled the edges. Some nights the memories still burned, but not like before. Mark called one evening while I was working late. You sitting down? He asked. That sounds bad, I said, leaning back. What now? He hesitated. You remember Ryan? I sighed. Hard to forget. Well, Mark said, a hint of amusement in his voice. He dumped Claire. Left her for some model in Miami. For a moment, I didn't say anything. Then I laughed softly. You're kidding. Nope. She's been calling everyone, trying to figure out what went wrong. I rubbed my temples. Karma moves fast. Guess she finally met herself, Mark muttered. I chuckled. Maybe she did. After we hung up, I sat in silence for a while. There was no joy, no satisfaction, just a strange calm. Like the storm had finally passed, and all that was left was quiet. Later that week, my phone rang past midnight. I didn't need to check the screen to know it was her. I stared at it until it stopped ringing, then it rang again, and again. On the 4th call, I picked it up, then froze. I didn't speak, just listened. Ethan? Her voice cracked. It's me. I stayed quiet. I know you probably hate me, she continued, sniffling, but please, just listen. Her voice was shaky, desperate. He's gone, Ryan left. He said I was too much drama. I don't even know who I am anymore. I shut my eyes. The sound of her crying twisted something inside me, but not the way it used to. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I ruined everything. You didn't deserve any of it. I just wanted you to know that. I still didn't speak. I loved you, she said softly. I just didn't realize it until too late. When the line went quiet, I finally pressed end. My thumb trembled, but I didn't regret it. The next morning, Ava noticed I was quieter than usual. You okay? She asked, handing me a coffee. Yeah, I lied. Just a long night, she tilted her head. Work or memories? Both, I admitted. She smiled gently. You don't have to fight ghosts, Ethan. Sometimes it's okay to let them fade. I looked at her. You make it sound easy. It's not, she said, but it's possible. We sat in the office break room, the morning sun filtering through the blinds. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then I asked, why do you care so much? Ava looked surprised. Because you remind me of someone I used to be. Someone who thought pain was permanent. And it's not? She shook her head. It changes. You just have to give it somewhere else to live. I smiled faintly. Like blueprints and coffee? She laughed. Exactly. That laugh, it wasn't loud or forced. It was the kind that made the room feel lighter. Later, we worked side by side on a new project. She hummed quietly as she drew, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was standing in the ruins of my life. When we finished, she looked at my sketch and said, You've got steady hands for someone rebuilding. I had a good teacher, I said. She raised an eyebrow. Mark? No, I said, smiling a little. Life. That evening, as I drove home, I thought about Claire again. I remembered her laughter on that beach, the one that used to haunt me, but this time I didn't feel pain. I just felt distance. She called again that night. I watched her name flash across the screen, then let it ring until it stopped. A message came through after, I wish I could start over. I deleted it without reading the rest. I wasn't angry anymore. Just done. The next day, Ava asked if I wanted to grab lunch. Sure, I said. Why not? She smiled. Progress, maybe, I replied. Or maybe I'm just learning how to breathe again. She looked at me, eyes kind. Either way, that's healing. I nodded, realizing she was right. Healing wasn't about forgetting. It was about no longer needing the apology that would never fix anything. That night I went home, opened the windows, and let the breeze carry the last of her perfume away. For the first time, the air felt clean. It was a Tuesday morning when the past walked into my office. "Ethan Miller?" The receptionist called over the partition. "Someone's here to see you." I looked up from my sketches. "Who?" She says her name is Claire. My pen froze. The room tilted for half a second before I forced myself to breathe. "Send her in," I said quietly. When she walked through the door, I barely recognized her. The woman who used to light up rooms looked dimmed, thin, pale, and exhausted. "Hey!" she whispered, standing awkwardly by the door. I leaned back in my chair. "Claire." She glanced around the office, eyes catching the framed project photos on the wall. "You've moved up." "Yeah," I said. "Life doesn't stop," she nodded slowly. "You look good." "Thanks." My tone was even, but my pulse wasn't. "What are you doing here?" Her lip trembled. I didn't know where else to go. I gestured for her to sit, though every instinct told me not to. "What happened?" She hesitated, then spoke, her voice cracking. "Ryan, he stole from me," I blinked. "Stole?" "Everything," she said bitterly. "My savings, my car, even my jewelry. He said he was investing in something for us. Then he disappeared." I exhaled slowly. "So he did to you what you did to me." Her eyes filled with tears. "I deserve that." "Maybe," I said softly, "but I'm not saying it to hurt you. Just stating the truth." She nodded, biting her lip. "I've been staying with a friend, but it's temporary. Her voice broke. "I have nowhere else to go." The words hung heavy in the air. I looked at her, at the face I used to love more than anything, and all I felt was pity. No anger, no longing, just a quiet ache that didn't burn anymore. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't know where else to turn." "You could have turned to anyone, Claire, but I wanted to come to you." "Why?" I asked. "After everything?" Her voice was barely audible. "Because you're the only person who ever truly cared about me." I shook my head. "And you destroyed that." "I know," she said quickly. "I was selfish. I thought I'd found something better. I thought Ryan made me feel alive, but he only made me hollow." I leaned forward slightly. "You made a choice. You don't get to rewrite it now that it hurts." She looked down, crying silently. "I've learned my lesson." "I swear I have," I sighed, rubbing my temples. "Claire, I forgave you a long time ago." Her head snapped up. "You did?" "Yeah, I had to." "Forgiveness isn't for you, it's for me." She swallowed hard. "Then, could we start over?" I stared at her, stunned. "Start over?" She nodded, desperate. "Please." "I've changed, Ethan. I know what I lost, and I'll never take it for granted again." I leaned back, folding my arms. "You want another chance after burning the first one down?" "Yes," she said, tears streaming now. "I'll do anything." I looked at her for a long time, searching for even a spark of the woman I once knew. But all I saw was regret wearing the face of someone who'd once loved me wrong. "I forgive you," I said quietly. She blinked, hopeful. "So you'll take me back?" "No," I said simply. Her face crumpled. "Why not?" "Because forgiveness isn't reunion, Claire. It's release." Her lips trembled. "I don't understand." "I don't hate you anymore," I said. "But I also don't belong to the version of me who waited for you to come home." She looked at the floor. "So that's it? You're just done?" I was done the moment I realized I didn't need revenge to find peace. She covered her face, crying harder. "You don't know how much I regret everything." "I do," I said softly. "But regret isn't the same as change." The door opened then, and Harold Bennett, my boss, stepped inside. "Ethan, we're reviewing the Johnson proposal." "Oh." He paused, noticing her. I stood quickly. "Harold, this is Claire," he nodded politely. "Pleasure. I'll wait outside," but I stopped him. "Actually, we're done here." Claire wiped her eyes, confused. "Done?" "Yeah." I walked her to the door. "Take care of yourself, Claire." "Ethan, please." "Don't do this," I gave her a small, tired smile. "I'm not doing anything. I'm just finally letting go." She stared at me, eyes red and hollow. "I finally understand what I lost." "I know," I said. "And that's why I forgive you." Her tears fell silently as she stepped out. When the door closed, Harold raised an eyebrow. "X?" "Something like that," I said, exhaling. He studied me. "You handled that well." "Dignity is strength, son," Never trade it for revenge. I think I finally get that, I said. He smiled faintly. Good. Then you're growing. When he left, I sat alone for a while, staring at the empty chair where she'd been. That moment wasn't revenge. It was closure, the quiet kind that doesn't shout or sting. Just peace, and for the first time since everything fell apart, I knew I was free. My phone buzzed late one evening. I glanced at the screen. Claire. I stared at it. My thumb hovered over the green button, then slowly swiped it away. Blocked. No anger. No satisfaction, just peace. The next morning, Ava arrived at the office with her usual calm smile. Morning, Ethan. Coffee? Thanks, I said, taking the cup. I needed this. She leaned against the counter. You seem lighter today, I chuckled softly. Blocked an old problem. Problem? She asked, raising an eyebrow. Call from someone who shouldn't have been in my life anymore, I said. She smiled knowingly. Silence can speak louder than words sometimes. I nodded, staring out the window. Yeah, it's weird, but freeing. You're learning, she said quietly. I looked at her. Learning what? That healing isn't about forgetting. It's about understanding, I laughed softly. Funny, I thought healing was about pretending it never happened. She shook her head. No, it's about learning from it and moving forward without dragging the past behind you. I took a sip of coffee. That's harder than it sounds. You're doing it, she said. I can see it. I smiled faintly, but my thoughts wandered to nights I used to spend awake, thinking, crying, replaying every lie, every laugh. Remember the old project? She asked suddenly. The one with the skylight? I said, smiling. Yeah, you loved it, didn't you? I did, I admitted. I think I loved it because it was mine. No complications. No heartbreak. Maybe that's the lesson, she said softly. Some things are meant to be pure and untouched, and some people are meant to teach us without staying. Her words struck me harder than I expected. I looked down at the sketches in front of me, the blueprints neat and full of possibility. I'm glad you're here, I said. Not just because you listen, but because you get it, she laughed lightly. I just don't judge, I listen. That's all. You're more than that, I said. You understand how to let someone grow without forcing it. She shrugged. Maybe, or maybe I've learned it myself. We fell into a quiet rhythm, working side by side. She hummed softly as she traced her pencil across the paper, and I realized how rare it was to feel this comfortable again. After a while, she looked up. You're not checking old photos anymore, are you? I shook my head. No, I stopped. It doesn't matter anymore. I know what I did wrong, what I couldn't control. Dwelling changes nothing, she smiled. Good, that's growth. You think I'll ever fully forget? I asked quietly. She paused. No, but you don't need to forget. You just need to stop letting it control you. I nodded slowly. Yeah, I'm starting to see that. That night, I walked home and didn't glance at my old albums. I didn't linger over messages. I didn't linger over regrets. Instead, I opened the windows of my apartment, letting the breeze wash over me. The city lights flickered like stars, and for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. My bed no longer felt haunted. My sheets no longer smelled like her perfume. I thought about the nights I used to cry over a future that would never come. No more. Ava's words echoed in my head. Healing isn't forgetting. It's learning. I realized I'd learned plenty about betrayal, about trust, and about my own resilience. And for the first time, sleep came naturally. No nightmares. No replaying conversations. Just rest. Claire had her own path now. Her mistakes, her regrets, her heartbreak, those weren't mine anymore. I had mine, and it was leading somewhere brighter. I texted Ava that night. Coffee tomorrow? Her reply came instantly. Wouldn't miss it. I smiled, letting the warmth spread through me. For the first time, I felt it fully. Freedom wasn't about closing doors angrily. It was about opening the ones that led forward. Silence had spoken louder than any words ever could, and I was finally listening. I sat at my desk one evening, pen in hand, staring at a blank page. I should write this, I muttered to myself, for closure, or for honesty. Ava peeked into the office. Writing something personal? I nodded. Yeah, it's a letter. To Claire. Her eyes softened. That's brave, I sighed. Brave or stupid, I don't know, she shrugged. Sometimes closure takes a little risk. I began writing aloud, almost as if speaking to her would make it easier. Claire, I whispered, you broke me. You tore apart everything I trusted, everything I believed in. Ava leaned against the doorframe silently, listening. But in breaking me, you rebuilt me too, I continued. I found strength I didn't know I had. I found myself again. I found someone who sees me for who I am and values it. I paused, rereading the lines. Does she know? Ava, do I sound angry? No, she said gently. You sound honest, calm, even strong. I nodded, taking a deep breath. That's the truth. I'm calm now. I'm stronger than I ever was with her. And that's not something she'll ever see. I picked up the pen again. Thank you for teaching me that love without loyalty is just a beautiful lie. I wrote it slowly, savoring the words. It felt final, like a sentence I'd been avoiding my whole life. Ava smiled quietly. That's powerful, Ethan. Yeah, I muttered, closing my eyes. It hurts, but it's freeing too. I folded the letter neatly, my hands trembling slightly. Funny, isn't it? I spent months replaying every betrayal, every lie. Now I'm just done. Words are enough. I don't need her to hear them. Exactly, Ava said softly. It's for you, not her. I placed the letter in the top drawer of my desk. I didn't want to mail it. I didn't want her to know how much I felt, or how much I healed. It's a memory, I whispered, not a wound. Ava nodded, understanding perfectly. And that's how you move on. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. For the first time, the weight of the past felt light. No calls, no texts, no late-night regrets. Just peace. You'll sleep better tonight, Ava said. I smiled faintly. I already do. The letter remained in the drawer, a reminder of pain transformed into wisdom, of love that once hurt and now healed. I didn't need closure from her. I had given it to myself, and that was enough. I walked along the beach, the sand cool beneath my feet. The sun was dipping low, spilling gold across the horizon. I hadn't been here in months, not since that day I discovered everything. Beautiful, isn't it? Ava's voice broke through my thoughts. I looked up. She was walking beside me, her hair catching the light. Yeah, I said softly, it's peaceful. She reached for my hand, sliding hers into mine. You okay? I squeezed her hand gently. I am now. She smiled, but didn't speak. Just walked with me, letting the ocean breeze carry away the silence. I paused, letting the waves roll over my toes. I used to hate this place, I said quietly. Every grain of sand reminded me of what I lost, what I thought I'd never get back. Ava tilted her head. And now? I looked at her. And now it feels like freedom, she laughed softly. Freedom can be scary. Maybe, I said, but I'd rather it be scary than suffocating in regret. The horizon glowed orange and pink, and I realized the ocean no longer held memories of betrayal. Not for me. It was just vast, open, endless. Ava nudged me playfully. You know, I've never seen you smile like this before. Not really, I chuckled, the sound light and easy. I guess some things take time. And some people... I paused, looking at her. Some people teach you to heal when you least expect it. She squeezed my hand. And some teach you to live again. Exactly, I said. I used to think love without loyalty was the end of the world. She shook her head, smiling. It's not the end. It's a beginning. I inhaled the salty air, letting it fill me with something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. The waves crashed rhythmically, a steady reminder that life moves forward, no matter how rough the storm. Do you ever think about her? Ava asked quietly. Sometimes, I admitted. But it's different now. I remember, I forgive, but I don't dwell. That chapter is closed, she nodded. Good. You deserve that. We walked farther, letting our footprints fade behind us. I used to believe heartbreak destroyed people, I said softly. Now I know it can teach you strength. She looked at me, eyes warm. And maybe, just maybe, it brings you to the right person. I smiled, glancing at her. I think it already did. The sun sank lower, painting the sky in deeper reds and purples. I took a deep breath and felt the tension in my chest ease. This place, I said, used to hurt me. Now it reminds me that some endings are blessings disguised as heartbreaks. Ava leaned her head on my shoulder. Some horizons are meant to be shared. I wrapped my arm around her. Then let's walk forward, together. For the first time in years, the ocean didn't whisper loss. It sang freedom, and I was ready to listen.